You are now tuned in to episode 27 of Excuse Me, I'm Speaking. This podcast is being brought to you by yours truly. I'm talking about me, myself, and I, your one and only host. Call me Twinkle, call me SheIsTwinkle, call me Antoinette. As long as you're calling one of those three names, that's all that matters to me. There has been a lot going on. When I say a lot, I mean a lot of controversial things going on in the media, in pop culture, and y'all already know I have to speak on it. I don't even have a question of the day for today because they're going to be sprinkled throughout the podcast. So, for my returning listeners, y'all already know how I do. Comment below, send me your feedback on Instagram. It's time for us to have a conversation. So let's just go ahead and jump into topic one. Erica Mena versus Spice. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with those names, they are reality TV stars on the hit show Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Erica Mena is a Latina woman, where Spice is a Jamaican woman. They were friends at one point. Now, of course, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, it gives you all of the drama, which is why I don't watch it. But for this specific issue at hand, I did go back and watch season 11 that is premiering right now, episode 12 and 13. And when I tell y'all, it was disappointing to say the least. The fact that these women are in their 30s and they are still turning up, flipping tables, it's disappointing. The main issue here is that Erica Mena, the Latina woman, decided to escalate the argument to the next level and suddenly calls Spice a blue monkey. She called her a blue monkey because she had blue hair. The monkey part, I'll get into that a little bit later. Now, Spice, as a Jamaican dark skinned woman, she was not having it. Although Spice did originally tell her, that's why your son doesn't love you. So then Erica Mena responded back and said, how do you know that? You must have been talking to my ex. Okay, you blue monkey, blah, 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 blah. Then she proceeds to be escorted out by production, and she is making like monkey noises. Like y'all remember the show Martin when Cole would be like, ooh, 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 ah, ah. She was making that exact noise, but she's heard it before through our Black media and entertainment. But I digress. Nobody's brought that up, but okay. So now we also have Erica who is yelling at Spice and she's like, you should have died on the surgery table. I wish death on you, all of these things. Because at this point, for both of them, the gloves are off. Spice is yelling all types of crazy things about Erica's parenting to her. She's literally showing her rear end in the window, and it is just ridiculous at this point. My number one question, first question, should there be limits in verbal arguments? I ask this question because in the media right now, a lot of people are siding with Erica because they're saying, well, she talked about her kid. She said that her kid didn't love her. So once you say something about my kid, it's something that's a matter of the heart like that, all gloves are off. There's no limit. There's one side of the argument. Then the other side of the argument for Spice is that I didn't actually say anything bad about your kid. I didn't say an insult towards your kid, but there's no excuse for you calling me a racist comment such as a monkey. Now, back to my question. Should there be a limit in fighting? Is there such thing as fair fighting? If it's a verbal argument, should there be a limit? Now, of course, I want to know y'all answers and responses, and please send it to me on Instagram at SheIsTwinkle1, or if you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube, please comment below. But my answer. Now, me personally, I have limits with people just because of the type of person I am and the heart that I have, especially if I ever considered you a friend at any point in life. I am not going to go to the lowest of lows. Like some people get into arguments and they literally start spewing out fighting words. They be like, yeah, that's why your auntie died last week. Like, that's horrible. That's why you're in the slow class. That's why you're on medication. all this stuff. I feel like there are limits to arguments. I'm the type of person that if I get to a certain point, I would rather just walk away. I'd rather say I don't have nothing to say. You know that saying, if you don't have nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all, because you can't take words back. People remember words. That is crap when people say sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt you. Words cut and hurt deep to the core. So I do think that there should be limits. Now, of course, in the midst of a heated argument, people aren't thinking of, oh, I don't want to hurt this person. I don't want to hurt this person. But if you ask me, just like in fist fighting, physical fighting, whether it's wrestling, whether it's boxing, there's a such thing as a foul. And some people, they be throwing foul balls with their mouth, just spewing out foul balls, hitting below the belt. There's limits in actual fighting. There should be limits when it comes to verbal arguments. But I understand it's to each his own, it's according to the person. If you don't have a limit with me and you once, quote unquote, love me as a friend or whatever, I'm good. You've shown me your true colors. But that's my opinion. I would love to know y'all's. The second question of mine is, did Erica Mena deserve to be fired? Because as of today, we know she is fired. The Love and Hip Hop franchise, they put out the episode and they put a little disclaimer behind it as far as we do not condone or support racism and blah, blah, blah. But they didn't fire her months ago when they actually recorded this. They saw the public outrage, then they fired her. I personally have a problem with that. That leads me to the question, was it fair for Erica to be fired? Now, I'm going to give y'all my quick short answer. My quick short answer is no. And do not click off this video. Do not click off the podcast. I have a clear explanation, and I am not condoning her actions in any type of way. I'm not saying that it is okay to call a Black person a monkey. Never. I am Black. I'm brown skinned. I know that that's not okay. I have Black children. I have a Black husband. I would not be okay with that. However, let me tell you why. Okay. So my short answer is no, but there's three reasons why. First reason, on the Love and Hip Hop franchise, there is a historical promotion of indecent behavior that is promoted. It's put up on a pedestal. On Love and Hip Hop, they've talked about everybody's parenting, they've talked about people's hair, they've talked about people's careers, they've talked about people's family members. They literally get into fist fights. They've talked about people's surgery, people's health. They don't have limits. It is literally ratchet reality television. It's Jerry Springer, but it's actually real. Like they're really showing their whole tails on this show. So I feel like you have promoted bad behavior from day one. Erica Mena, when she first came onto the show seasons and seasons ago, she came on fighting. And she continued to get a call back every single season because they knew that that was going to bring the views, that was going to bring the drama. You've promoted it. And now, when it's gone a step too far or she said the wrong thing, which to my knowledge, listening to interviews, she's called some of the other Black cast members monkeys before. You guys didn't do anything before. So, when you've historically promoted bad behavior, now how do you pick and choose what is going to be pushed aside? But I digress. My second reason, going right into that, is the double standards. You have women on that have been on the show in the past where they're Latina. I don't know if they're Afro Latina or if they're a white Latina. I don't know. I don't know these people's like family trees, history. I don't know their ancestry, DNA makeup. However, y'all have allowed them to use the N word. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. Y'all have allowed the men on there, they call women out of their name, or they've called Jocelyn a man, and Jocelyn was, in fact, a woman. That affected her emotionally, all of these different things. But you haven't had people fired for all of these other reasons. But yet you fire her for this reason. Like, I feel like there has to be a clear cut standard across the board. Just my opinion. Third of all, you fired Erica Mena based off of public outrage rather than actually effectively addressing the issue. So that is my problem with that. I would have rather, because Erica Mena is a woman of color, whether she's Afro Latina or white Latina. Once again, I don't know. But I would have rather you Love and Hip Hop been responsible and address the issue head on. Because if that was another brown skinned woman that called Spice a monkey, y'all would have had no problem with it. On episode 13, Spice calls one of Erica Mena's best friends, who is a black woman, she called her a giraffe. Okay, that's another caged animal. Like, where is the line drawn? You need to effectively address the issue, because honestly, a lot of these racist comments and thoughts and ideals, they're learned expressions, they're learned thoughts and behaviors. People learned this in their community or in their family and the people they were around growing up. It was acceptable. It's not acceptable when two people that look the same say racist things to each other, but then you want to punish the person who is lighter skin tone, who is also a minority, which there's all kinds of things that you could call her as well. If one of them would have called her a racist term, would you immediately fire them? No, I think it should have been a learning moment. But I digress. I wanted to point out, because I have not seen this pointed out before, instances like this of racism and specifically being called a monkey, it's happened before, and it's happened on a larger scale. We forget our first Black president, President Barack Obama, and his wife were continuously disrespected and called some type of primate. Primate being anything in the monkey, ape, gorilla family. Now, I had to do my research because y'all know the nerd in me. I had to have some credibility to back it up. I just want to point this out to y'all, and I'm going to tell y'all what happened to these people that were on a much larger scale. On yahoonews.com, I found an article, and it was 5 times Republicans called Michelle Obama a primate. All right, stick with me. Time number 1, we have Pamela Ramsey Taylor, who was the director of the Clay County Development Corporation near Charleston. So she posted on her Facebook page right after President Donald Trump won the election. She posts on her Facebook page, "It will be so refreshing to have a classy, beautiful, dignified first lady back in the White House. I'm tired of seeing a ape in heels." Yeah, that's what she said. So her post, of course, because Facebook is public, it was picked up by the local news stations. So then the town's mayor, which her name was Beverly Whaling, replied to the post and said, "Just made my day, Pam." Okay, she just going right along with her. The whole "I'm tired of seeing the ape in heels." The mayor comments and says, "That just made my day, Pam." All right. So since then, both of the women apologized, but an online petition calling for them to step down from their posts garnered over 84,000 signatures. Since then, Taylor, the lady who was the director of the Clay County Development Corporation, the lady who made the post, she was removed from her post. Sorry, I can't talk today. She had to step down. But the mayor, nothing happened to her. She didn't have to step down. She said, "My comment was not intended to be racist at all." This is what she said to the Washington Post. She said, "I was referring to my day being made for the change in the White House. I'm truly sorry for any hard feelings this may have caused. Those that know me know that I'm not in any way racist. Again, I apologize for this getting out of hand." All right. So one of them had to step down only because we put something into action and 84,000 signatures called for her to step down. But the mayor, who was in an even higher position, was like, "I'm going to apologize and I'm not racist and that ain't got nothing to do with me. Y'all basically are exaggerating. This got out of hand." Okay. That's the first time. Second time, Dan Johnson, who was a Republican candidate for Kentucky state legislature, and he's also a Louisiana bishop, he posted pictures of President Obama and the First Lady with ape-like features. He also captioned a picture of a baby chimpanzee as being pictured as being a picture of the president when he was a child. This is a whole bishop. Now, I don't know what he teaching at his church, but I'm not buying it. a bishop and a Republican candidate in Kentucky. Nothing happened to him. He didn't have to step down. He didn't have to step down from being the bishop at his church. All he said was, it wasn't meant to be racist. I can tell you that. My history's good here. I can see how people would be offended in that. I wasn't trying to offend anybody, but I think Facebook is entertaining. Yeah, I had to say his comment because once again, this was completely racist. You literally posted them with ape-like features, and then you put a baby chimpanzee and said that that was the president as a baby. Are you kidding me? But then you said, well, it's entertainment. That's what people can argue with Erica Mena and Spice. They're on Love and Hip Hop. It's entertainment, but that doesn't make it okay. Erica got fired. This white man, not fired. Simple, half done apology. It was entertainment. Nothing happened. Moving right along. The third one in West York, Pennsylvania, we have Mayor Charles Wasco. He had a post in which he said a picture of a monkey was actually a picture of Michelle Obama. He also captioned a picture of a wagon of orangutans as moving day at the White House. Y'all want to guess what happened? Nothing. I don't even believe that he apologized. It does not say that he apologized, but nothing happened. And he was the mayor in Pennsylvania. White man. Nothing happened. All right. Number 4, we have Patrick Rushing, the mayor of Airway Heights in Washington, called the First Lady Gorilla Face on Facebook. And I quote, he says, Gorilla Face Michelle can't disagree with that. The woman is not attractive except to Monkey Man Barack. Check out them ears. LOL. Posted this online on his Facebook like it was nothing. Okay. The mayor of Airway Heights, Washington. So then people were asking for him to step down. He refused to resign. He said, I made a mistake. I owned up to my mistake. If I do resign, that's admitting I'm a racist and I'm not. It's just playful back and forth banter that my friends and I do. Nothing happened. Where was the public outrage for that? And he even admitted, once again, entertainment. And this is what him and his friends do. This is where he learned it from. Last, but certainly not least, a Republican activist from South Carolina, Rusty DePass, which he's also the former chairman of the State Election Commission. He commented on a Facebook post when a gorilla had escaped from a zoo. He said that the gorilla was Michelle Obama's ancestor, saying, I'm sure it's just one of Michelle's ancestors, probably harmless. He then later admitted that he was referring to the first lady. He doubled down, but then he apologized for this comment. In his words, he says, I am as sorry as I can be if I offended anyone. The comment was clearly in jest. Apologized and said it was a joke. Nothing happened. So these were 5 instances, but they were involving 6 different white people. People in high positions, in government positions, in acknowledged positions in the community, respectable positions in the community. The only thing that happened was to one of them. So 1 out of 6 is only 16.7%. Only 16.7% of the time there were repercussions. But the other 83.3%, nothing happened. Most of the time they apologized. One of them didn't even apologize, and there was no negative consequence. So once again, there's no shock that it continues to happen. So if on a large scale, nothing was happening and there's an apology, are they given grace because they're white? So now the Love and Hip Hop franchise, I guess they decide, okay, well, we're going to make an example and we're going to fire Erica Mena. But like still, what is gonna be learned from the situation? I feel like all those white people, ain't none of them got fired. They still making money for their families and this, and that, and the world has moved on. The rest of the world did not go crazy on any of these instances, except for the 84,000 signatures. People are all over Instagram, Facebook, everywhere on social media, Twitter, saying Erica Mena needs to be fired. She needs to be fired. That was wrong. That was wrong. The entire cast literally had something to say the next episode. Erica wasn't even on that episode. And you literally just everybody just like turn and have groupthink and let's get rid of her. But what is learned out of that? Because all these white people did the same thing, if not worse, and they laughed about it and they learned nothing from it and they continued making money for their families. But now for our own culture, because she has ingrained herself in the culture. She got black kids and everything. I feel like there needed to be a learning moment. It's no different from Hazel Lee. She's a black woman, but she is lighter skin tone. And she said some racist remark towards another black woman who was darker skin tone. And Iyanla Van Zant, she used that as a time to have a special about colorism and how it's affected with lighter skin black people versus darker skin black people and the history of where it came from. There is a learning lesson in that. And it was teaching everybody that was involved on the cast, and then everybody who is watching it as viewers and learning. And now Hazel Lee was still making money. She can still move forward, but she understands. And now, if that were to happen again, then that would be an issue. Then fire her, nail her to the cross. It don't matter. But I feel like let's effectively address the issue because it's going to keep happening. Give her an opportunity to apologize and to understand and to make it right, because in the communities that she's probably grown up in, she's hearing other people say it to each other and she's always said it. And there's a generation that came after her that they're doing the exact same thing. That's why this topic is so polarizing, and you don't know. Half the people are like she was right, half the people is like she was wrong. Hands down, she was wrong. But all these white people got a pass. So turn this into a learning and teaching moment for the entire cast, because it wouldn't have been okay if anybody said that to each other. Because black people, we're not monkeys, we're not apes, we're not roaches, we're not baboons, we're not all of these different things that people say. We're no type of caged animal. Other people on the cast were offended. They're like, her calling her a monkey, that's basically calling you a monkey too. I'm a black woman, I'm watching. She ain't called me no monkey because I don't feel like I'm a monkey. I know that's racist what she said and it's not okay. And she should apologize to her. But girl, you wasn't talking to me. I know what I am and who I am. So if you called me a monkey, I think you just straight up tripping and you just wanted something to say. Maybe those are your own internal feelings, but I don't receive it. Moving right along. That takes me into topic number 2, Shirley Strawberry versus Steve Harvey. Shirley Strawberry, she has a very distinct voice. She is a woman that usually reads her strawberry letter, and if somebody writes in about their relationship, she gives them relationship advice. Well, she herself had issues in her own personal relationship to the point where she didn't know who she married. He turned out to be a con man. He is in jail now, but he's been in jail for, I think, at least the last year. She was still trying to be like, that's my man. I'm going to stick beside him when he first got in jail. They would be having conversations. These were long conversations too. I was quite shocked because they are uploaded on YouTube. And I'm like, dang, girl, how much money was you paying for these conversations? Because I know they charge by the minute. But anywho, let me get back to the story. Those tapes were leaked. I don't know how, but now she is all over the radio with Steve Harvey, apologizing to him for the comments that she made about him and his wife. She said that they were invited over to Steve Harvey's house. She basically felt like the help. And she was like, wow. Now, I think we only got shown into the house because his wife wasn't there. If she was there, you already know we wasn't going to be getting in. Then she also made a comment about Steve Harvey walking up the stairs in his house and he was breathing all hard and he was huffing and puffing. But now she was on the radio. She was like, I feel so deeply wrong and I'm just so sorry. And I should not have said those things and I apologize. So, my question is, do y'all believe that she owed Steve Harvey an apology? Please comment below or send me your feedback on Instagram. I want to know. Now, personally, this was intended to be a private conversation, correct? Jail calls are not supposed to be released. If it doesn't have anything to do with his actual case and his crime and the reason why he's doing time, there should have been no reason for it to be released. So this is a woman that believes that she's having a private conversation with her spouse. Nobody else is around. And she is just having an open and honest conversation with him. She's giving her honest thoughts. If you're not going to honestly talk to anybody else, you're going to talk to your spouse. She didn't say they were horrible people or anything, just having regular conversation. She said her comments about Steve Harvey, insinuating he was out of shape, but does she owe him an apology? Nobody knows the conversations that Steve Harvey has had with his wife or his children or his best friends regarding any of his coworkers because they're coworkers, because they haven't been released to the public. If I was her, I would be ready to sue the jail. How did these calls get released? Second of all, I don't think she necessarily owes him an apology, but I do believe that she feels inclined to apologize because it may have hurt his feelings. And he's joking about it. And he makes jokes on the radio talking about, well, because, my big behind or my fat butt, I can barely make it up the stairs. When somebody keeps referencing those types of things, that part bothered them. Regardless of what they say, they were bothered by it. So I do believe that she doesn't owe him an apology, but since you've worked with him for so long and you want to continue to work with him and have a positive environment and you don't want the awkwardness, then I understand coming out publicly and being like, hey, I shouldn't have said those things, or I was talking to my husband. That was something I noticed. I pointed it out to him. Those were just my honest opinions, and I'm sorry that you had to hear that. I'm sure you have honest opinions about me, but we need to work together. So let me just clear the air and apologize for the fact that you had to hear me say that because I'm sure that that's hurtful. I don't think she owe him an apology, but she's out here on an apology tour. So y'all give me y'all thoughts. Now, last but totally not least, I can't go too deep into this story, but Tyrese Tyrese Gibson, Tyrese from Baby Boy. Tyrese, the actor known from his role in the Fast and the Furious franchise. Tyrese, the crybaby on Instagram. It is Tyrese versus the Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club is a radio show, popular. It's syndicated pretty much all over the United States, but they are based in New York. Tyrese, we know him to have developed some type of friendship with the two main hosts of the Breakfast Club, being Charlamagne the God and DJ Envy. Tyrese just recently did an interview with the Breakfast Club and he came up there in person and he basically confronted them and addressed them because he has been going through a public divorce and he feels like they were his friends. They never called to check on him. He didn't receive their support. He was specifically there for Envy when his wife wanted to divorce him because he cheated on her. And he's wondering why that same grace and mercy was not reciprocated. I want y'all to go and listen to the entire interview for yourself. But let me give y'all my thoughts on this interview. I think that Tyrese is absolutely full of himself. I think that Tyrese did not take accountability for any of his actions during the interview. We know from recent interviews he's done with other podcasters, as well as his interview with the Breakfast Club, that he was on some type of psychedelic or psych meds, and I believe he said it was Resulty. Don't quote me. He said it really fast, but he blames that as the reason as to why he was acting out, as the reason as to why he was crying on Instagram, and he was making live videos on Instagram, and he was saying that Will Smith and Jada gave him $5 million when they didn't. He was saying all types of things that were just simply not true. So he's basically saying, well, during this time when I was on psych meds, I don't know what I was saying. I don't know what I was doing. I was out of my mind. And, I've been going through a divorce. It's been a lot. And I feel like y'all are supposed to be my brothers, my friends. Y'all are up here laughing about it on the radio, but y'all didn't call me. Y'all didn't come to my rescue. envy. God put it on my heart to be there for you and your wife when y'all was going through y'all stuff. And I did it out of the kindness of my heart because God told me to. I didn't expect anything in return, but you wasn't there for me when I was going through my stuff. You didn't call me. Y'all didn't call my wife. Y'all could have came and counsel with us. And I was like, hold on, pause. That's kind of backwards because you just said you didn't expect anything. And now it seems like you expected the same thing in return. Did God tell you to do it, or were you doing it for your own benefit so that you could have an IOU from them in the back of your pocket? Make it make sense. If you're saying that God put something on your heart to do, then why do you keep bringing it up? Why do you keep referring to it? Why were you expecting the exact same thing in return? That's like saying, hey, God told me to give you $5,000. Now, years down the line, you don't have any money and you're like, I'm mad at this person because they should have at least given me $5,000 like I gave them. God put that on your heart to do that. He might not have put it on their heart to do that. I just feel like you can't hold people to the fire for that. But my question is, can you blame your friends for not checking on you when you are spiraling out of control? So Tyrese said that that was his reason. He said that his friends and the people that know him and love him, they should have recognized that he was acting different and they should have reached out to him. He is saying that the psych meds had him tripping and he was not acting like he normally would. And he would have appreciated if people loved him and cared for him and reached out to him rather than distancing themselves and then calling him a liar, X, Y, and Z. Although he was lying publicly. What do y'all think? I personally think if you're spiraling out of control to the point where it is affecting the lives and livelihood of your friends, and that's why they choose to distance themselves, then you're still responsible for your own actions, whether you were in your right mind or not. That's like saying, don't fault me for anything I do while I'm drunk because you know how I am when I'm sober. Like I'm a good person. So obviously I was drunk. I wasn't in my right mind. That wasn't me. No, it was you. You may have been influenced by some type of drug or alcohol, but that was you. So I'm not excusing your actions or your behavior because it still affected people in the midst of your current situation. You negatively affected others. Specifically in this situation, DJ MB tells him, I know that you were there for me and my wife, but I didn't reach out to you for another reason, which I didn't want to say publicly. But since you want to bring it to the forefront, you were disrespectful towards my wife to the point where that's why she doesn't return your phone calls and she didn't want to talk to you. So I blocked you because other than that, I wanted to box you in the mouth. So Tyrese did not have a major reaction to this. Now, most men, if another man tells them face to face, you was disrespectful towards my wife to the point where I ain't gonna say exactly what you did because there's people around, but it was enough for me to want to box you in the mouth. Another man who really didn't do anything would not just sit there and be like, all right, I don't recall, but I respect what you're saying. No, another man would have been like, you gonna hit who? Do you want to do something now or later? Because we can go. Tyrese didn't react in that way. So they end up piecing it up during the interview. They're saying, you know what, this was a good conversation. We talked about how friends can be accountable. Maybe we could have done better. Maybe we could have reached out to you. We understand you're saying it was the psych meds. Okay. Now that we've communicated and we've had this conversation moving forward, we will do better in our friendship. And now it's a clean slate. It was all good. Hours later, Tyrese gets on Instagram Live and says, I'm so mad at the Breakfast Club. They didn't have a heart when they were talking to me. It was so hurting, and they should have been there for me. And I think DJ Envy is lying. I ain't never disrespected his wife. I don't remember what I did, but I went back and looked at the text messages and I got receipts. I ain't said nothing disrespectful in none of these text messages. He is lying. They owe me an apology, and that's why I don't fool with them. Yada, 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 yada. Yeah, how do y'all feel about that? When you have a conversation with people and you're like, okay, I thought we was good. We pieced it up. Now, after the fact, they still mad. Well, why you didn't say that when we were face to face? Why are you now backtracking? What was the purpose and coming to a kumbaya and then now you want to pull it back and you want a following. I didn't agree with that. That made me lose a lot of respect for Tyrese. But then, since Tyrese did that, and he was on Instagram for a very long time and getting supporters, and people are calling DJ Envy a liar. So now days have passed, and DJ Envy's wife, they called her on the phone to interview her while the radio show was live. And she hadn't heard anything about Tyrese's Instagram live. Now, if anybody has ever watched The Breakfast Club, DJ Envy's wife name is Gia. She is freaking beautiful. She has a beautiful spirit about her. She's really kind. She's great with her words. She has compassion for people, and she usually tries to look at other people's perspectives. And so she's not biased at all. She's literally telling the truth. And she's like, yeah, I'm not gonna go into too much detail as to what happened because he was our friend. So I still have a certain level of respect for him as well as Envy does. But I'm going to tell you that he was definitely inappropriate. He had built a friendship with Gia, DJ Envy's wife, after he helped them through their marriage struggles. In their friendship, he started to demand more time from her. He also started to give her compliments that she said made her uncomfortable that should not have been given to a married woman, especially on the way that she looked, this, and that. Says those things are disrespectful. Now, I mean, Envy, Tyrese is an R&B singer. You have probably seen him in action. Your wife is freaking beautiful. Understand she would be talking to him on the phone right next to you, which is probably why there's not receipts because he said these things verbally. But y'all had a friendship and then he had a closer friendship with her. I feel like you should have just said it on the radio. It eventually had to come out. Now, he said that he didn't say it when Tyrese was there because he hadn't gotten that clearance from his wife. He didn't want to put their business out there without getting the okay from her because it affects her as well. So I understand why he didn't put it out there, but you should have told Tyrese after the interview wrapped up. But Tyrese didn't call him. He didn't ask him anything. Tyrese was going to run with this story of woe is me. It's made me lose a lot of respect. He really needs to just stick to the music or stick to acting. Don't do interviews and just let some time pass because he is a whole married man. He had reason to not talk to you. You flirting with his wife. You didn't got too comfortable. Maybe all three of y'all should have stayed close friends rather than it breaking off into the two of y'all being closer friends than even the males were. That's just my opinion. But y'all let me know what y'all think about that. The question was, can you blame your friends for not checking on you when you're spiraling out of control? Now, just to do some really quick wrap ups, because all three of my topics for today did not necessarily paint some of my people in the best light. So I want to shine a positive spotlight on Black people and specifically Black couples out there. I have some Black celebrity podcast suggestions. So the first one would be the Casey Crew podcast. That podcast is with DJ Envy and his wife Gia. It is great to listen to their stories and the ups and downs of their relationship. And then you understand the type of person that Gia is. So, y'all should definitely check that out. And then the second podcast would be Deval Ellis and his wife, Kadeen. Deval is from the show Sisters and Zatima. Yeah, I love them as a couple. Or you can just type their name in on YouTube. They've been doing a lot of interviews with people. It is so good to see this millennial Black couple, and they are just living their best life and they truly love each other. And they're about positivity, but they're about realness. They are hilarious. Check them out, follow them on social media. Moving right along into crazy media news out there. These aren't celebrities per se. I just had to bring it to y'all. It made me laugh. There was a wedding that was had. And y'all know y'all have weddings, and especially if you have a reception, you got to pay for that food at the reception, regardless if the people show up or not. Well, it says newlyweds send a $240 bill to guests who were no shows at their wedding. There's a whole invoice, and the description is wedding reception dinner in parentheses no show. The unit price is $120. So I guess there was two guests that didn't show up. The total price is $240. Amount paid 0, balance due $240. What y'all think about that? I think that is insane. I don't even know if that's legal. Ain't nobody signed no contract to come to your wedding, but I don't know. People be doing RSVPs online. There could be small print that says, "We will send you a bill if you don't show up and you don't call and you don't give us enough time to replace." Somebody send you a $240 bill for not showing up. Are you paying? Because I surely am not. Girl, bye. Somebody ate that food. Moving right along. In upcoming streaming news, Love is Blind season 5 is coming soon. I believe it could be next week. So y'all already know y'all gonna hear me talk about it because I love Love is Blind. Anyways, wrapping up the podcast for the quote of the day, the author is unknown. The quote is, "Be careful with your words. Once they are said, they can only be forgiven, not forgotten." Y'all, there's power in words. Anywho, I hope y'all enjoyed today's episodes. Please send me answers to all 4 of the questions throughout today's episode. Send them to me at SheIsTwinkle1 on Instagram. You could send me a DM or comment on a picture, as well as on YouTube. Like this video, subscribe, comment below, and thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, I love you all. This has been another great episode of Excuse Me, I'm Speaking, and I'm out. Peace.